right, man. You want to start with your testimony?
Sure. Yeah, dude. I don't even know where to begin.
I think just your gut reaction when someone asks you
Yeah.
that, hey, Mike, can you tell me your testimony?
Yeah, dude.
What would you say?
So I think looking back at my life, I see all the instances that God has planted a seed, put a person there.
Mhm.
Um, and I do believe that God is pursuing everyone, So
Mm.
when I look back, I'm like, okay, he has been pursuing me from the very beginning. I was born and raised in a Catholic family. We just
Yeah.
kind of went to church, but we weren't practicing it every single day.
Mhm.
We'd go to church on Sundays and stuff. And so maybe God planted those seeds in me, but just kind of showed up and did my thing there, but didn't really know Jesus, didn't know the Bible, didn't know any of those things,
Yeah.
but looking back, I just remember my dad getting on his knees and praying,
Mm.
and I think that impacted me a lot.
Yeah.
So that was something really strong. My parents got divorced and we stopped going to church, so I wasn't really around any of that stuff anymore. And
How old are you when the divorce happened?
I don't remember. I think it was middle school, high school. I don't know when it was finalized, but I remember there were some issues um my early stages,
Yeah.
Um
But that's a tough age.
it was, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
something like that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, dude. Yeah, and it was just kind of going into high school, I saw some of the questions, so um the questions that you're gonna ask me tonight, but
Yeah.
my testimony touches talking to girls, doing all those things, finding pleasure and popularity in those things.
Mhm.
But when I went to high school, my parents divorced, stopped going to church. I was an atheist, didn't believe in God. I was he might be real, maybe a little bit agnostic, but I was I would argue with Christians. I thought being a Christian was the cringiest thing. I thought it was
Mm.
super weird,
Mm.
um and there were Christians in my life that are people around me that would speak into me and say oh, this is the way, this is what you should be doing. But to me, there was no truth. Everyone had their own truth, right? So
Mm.
I was okay, this is something that works for them. Didn't really think much of it.
Yeah, if it works for you, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need
Yeah.
that. My life's fine without it.
Right.
Type
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
mentality.
And Christianity was just any other religion, so it was okay, it was the same as um, Mormonism, even just things that weren't religions, oh, people find pleasure in the clubs or whatever. It was all just this was my theology or my idea of finding happiness, so
Mm.
when people talk about Christianity, I was oh, okay, that's just something that works for you,
Yeah. Yeah.
but even during those times, I wasn't at my lowest yet, parents were divorced, I was a little bit sad, depressed a little bit in high school, but I masked that with other things, I'd
Mhm.
go to parties, do all those things. And then I was actually pretty unfaithful in relationships. I would
Mhm.
literally just be I didn't care about other people, genuinely did not care.
Yeah.
I was how can I just, take advantage of the situation or gain something from it?
Yeah.
And that lifestyle is it leads to depression, some people go down suicide and stuff like that. um but even doing those things, I wasn't pushed out my lowest, I was partaking in um unfaithfulness,
Mhm.
and I was cheating on people, people were cheating on me, so it was kind of just what people did,
Yeah. Just what goes around comes around, and,
right.
and you're
Yeah,
playing the same game.
exactly. Yeah, and then going down the line, I remember I was just so sick of it. I was like, God, I don't know if you're real, but I want to be with a good person, a good woman. And then I was with a girl for 6 years after high school.
Damn.
She was she identified as a Christian and stuff. And so I feel God kind of used her to kind of plant some seeds in my
Yeah.
life. Both her parents were together. I saw you know, a family that was together, and I saw the love, and that just spoke a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because I was I don't know what this is. I've never experienced this before. But I mean, same thing, same patterns. I was still unfaithful to her in the beginning, which honestly like painted me as a bad guy for most of our relationship.
Yeah.
And even more than halfway through, I was like trying to just be a better person for her for the things I did,
Mm.
but I wasn't in it for um I wouldn't say like I wasn't in it voluntarily because I was, but it was just like, I was like suffering and I just thought like I deserved a lot of that like sadness, and she was sad
Yeah.
too. Um, but sorry, going back to like my testimony, um, like there were a lot of times where I ended up going to church and doing different things like that. But like I don't remember like a specific moment of like giving my life to the Lord
Mm-hmm.
during these phases. I just like looking back now, I'm like, yeah, like God was speaking to me through this person or that
Mm-hmm.
person. But yeah, I think like I was an EMT, and then I just remember like praying one night, like, God, like if you're real, just like reveal yourself to me, like show me like who you are and what you are.
Mm.
And then I was like, I don't care what religion you are, I don't care like what type of God you are, like just like speak to me. And then from that point forward, like I was like with different partners, like you were an
Yeah.
EMT, so
Yeah.
and then I was with like a devout like Muslim, a devout Mormon, a Jehovah's
Mm.
Witness. Like literally after I made this prayer, like I was just lined up with like these types of people.
Dang.
So like there was like this Muslim guy that would literally like he'd get like one of the gurney sheets, like put it on the floor after a call, and he'd just be
No.
like praying, dude.
Oh, after every call?
Not like it was
Or
like
at
Ram.
those times?
Yeah.
I think like they pray 5 times a day.
Right. Yeah.
Those
So
times. Okay.
yeah, he'd be like doing that stuff.
Dang.
And I was like, oh,
Well, he's not that hardcore because he didn't bring his carpet.
no, he didn't. He just had it tucked away in there. No,
but respect to him, he'd take a gurney sheet.
He would
and
take a gurney sheet, yeah. But it was interesting because it's like, okay, like I think what I saw was a lot of the ritualistic stuff of these people.
Yeah.
Like not just that guy, but like all these people that were like religious, right?
Yeah.
They were like doing these things, but then I would kind of see their like life or like their walk, and it would just like kind of raise like red flags to me. Like this guy, like this Muslim guy, like he was like all these guys are cool guys. All these guys are pretty chill, but like just like the work ethic and certain things that I would see, I would be like, oh, like, like it just seemed like, praise to the God, but then like I don't really like follow these things that I believe in a sense. Like
yeah, like you're supposed to do it, but it's more out of habit. It's not really out of the heart.
Yeah. And then I just remember like going forward, like I met like this Christian guy, and he just like had the love of Christ in his heart, and he was like, I just want to be like, I just want to have like a wife and kids, and like I don't care about money, and then just kind of like, and then I met like a lot of other Christians and stuff, and then I think from that point on, like I was curious. I was like, oh, okay, like this guy just wants a family, like that seems interesting. Like I've never really cared about money. Like I want money, I want to provide, but like for me personally, I was like, I just want like to be like happy in a sense,
Yeah.
And I think like seeing a man that was like pursuing those kind of things, I was like,
It was different.
yeah, it was different. So I was like, okay, like let me try putting my eggs in that basket. And then so I just started like, I remember like kind of like giving my life to the Lord and just being like, okay, like a little bit more like boldly, like, okay, God, like, I'm going to start reading the Bible, after meeting him. And then a lot of things happen, a lot of coincidence things happen,
Did he guide you through that at all? Like, did you tell him like, hey man, you've been a big part of this, or is this more casual, like in the back of your mind?
Yeah. It was more like back of my mind kind of thing.
Okay.
And I honestly, like, it wasn't even just one person. Like there was one guy specifically, but he was never like, oh, I'm going to mentor you or like take you under my wing. It was kind of just like, he was living his life, and I was like, interesting, and then being trapped with him for like 48 hours, I'm like, okay, like, this guy's like around my age, and he's married. He's not trying to party and stuff.
Oh, he's already married.
Yeah.
I mean, weren't you like 20 when you were in EMT?
Yeah.
Dang.
He was probably like 22, 24 or something.
Okay.
But still really young.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I was like, wow, like interesting, and then so I kind of, so from that point I had like my like radar, like, okay, like Christians, like interesting,
Different.
a little bit different, and then, I just kind of kept looking into like other Christians, like, what are their morals and values. And then, actually, K-Wave, right?
Yeah.
Radio station. So like one, I think it was like 1 week, one day, I don't know what it was, but like it was just on my radio for some reason.
In the ambulance or in your
my car?
Oh, in your car.
And then I just never changed it. And then like Pastor Rick Warren was like talking and stuff, and like, and I would just listen to him and just like consume that. Like I didn't even read the Bible at first. Like I had one, I was kind of like looking through it, but then like just consuming like Pastor Rick Warren, like his teachings, like really like spoke to me. And then, you know, like from that point, it was like, okay, like, you know, understanding kind of like the heart of God. And then like, okay, from that point going forward, he was like, you know, you have to be baptized, you have to, you know, like read your word, you have to like go to church, you have to tithe and all these things. But like what I understood with those things is like we get to do those things, you know, and it's not like you have to do this to be a Christian or to go into the kingdom of God, but like, you know, like this is the natural progression, you know? And so for me, it was like very like science based. I was like, okay, like let me just test these things, you know, let me see like does tithing actually work? Does this actually work? You know? And then I would just do it in like little baby steps. And then now like my life like is so like built on those foundations, you know? But yeah, so let me think. So and then I think I'll leave it at that because I know there's more questions, but like that kind of is a launching point to like,
it's a good baseline.
Yeah.
When would you say you made more of a discovery of like the gospel?
Yeah.
Like what would you say? Well, I guess let's start there. What would you say is the gospel?
Yeah.
And then when did you discover that?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the gospel, it's like, I know there's like a lot of acrostics and people like, you know, they're like, oh, you need like these 4 parts of the gospel, right? Like
sure,
for it to
like,
be the gospel.
I want your answer.
Yeah. So like the gospel is like the good news, right? Like we've talked about this and stuff, but like it is, you know, basically the story of Jesus, like what he did coming for us, you know, in the state that we were, and our relationship to the cross, basically. So like we are all sinners, right? Like, and there's obviously a lot of theology, a lot of things that like come down to what that means.
Yeah.
But we've like the short and simple is you know, we've been disobedient to God. You know, we've been acting out of place of our design, of how the Creator designed us. And it's just in us inherently, you know, from Adam and Eve, from that original sin.
Yeah.
So we needed an atonement for that disobedience. And so, and we could never pay that, you know, like no amount of right living or sacrifices or anything could cleanse us for good.
Yeah.
And so God himself came down, you know, he saw us in the state that we were at. So he saw the debt that we owed. He stepped down and he paid that for us, you know, and it's really interesting because it's like, oh, like, what do you mean? Like God came down and died, you know, like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But the way that I've understood it is that he came to where we were. So he came to death, you know? So it's like, that's why he did that specifically. You know, like people are like, oh, like why, how come salvation has to be paid in that way? Because that's where we were existing.
Yeah. Like if God is a omnipotent God, you know, why does he have to forgive this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember like during your sermon, you kind of brought up why did Jesus have to die?
Yeah.
Where are you at on that now?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you're at peace with it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess where are you at with that now?
No, yeah. I think like Jesus came down and died for us. Like he basically like lifted us up out of the dirt, you know, and got dirt on his hands, you know, so we were in the dirt. He lifted us up. And so I believe that. I believe that that's what he did.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
No. Yeah. It seemed like you were wrestling with it before, or maybe even just doubting, because I've heard atheists on YouTube and stuff like, if God's so powerful, like why does he have to die?
Yeah.
You know, if God can do anything, why does he have to die?
Yeah.
And from my understanding, you know, God is a just God, and so he cannot have sin go unpunished.
Yeah.
Like we deserve punishment for our sin, like, because if there is no punishment, like there's no justice, you know? And so from my understanding of it, it's, you know, we deserve this punishment and God says, hey, you deserve this punishment, but I'm going to take care of it for you.
Yeah. And so like he's just, he's righteous, and he's loving, you know? And like, if you don't have all 3 of those things, then it's like an imperfect God, you know? So like the fact that like he didn't have to die for us. He didn't have to do anything. He chose to.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, I'm going to do this because like, this is the plan from the beginning. You know, he was like, I was already going to do this. And I think like the more I grow as a Christian, I don't want to say like I'm like getting more mature or anything, but obviously that's the natural progression. Everybody wants to get more mature. I've seen like, it's like the more you grow, the less you know.
Dude.
Like
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like the more I read the Bible, the more I realize, or maybe it's just verses being revealed to me in new ways, or whatever. Like, I'm like, because I've read the whole Bible before, you know, but then now that I'm going through it again, like it's hitting different. And the more I realize, I'm like, dude, I know nothing.
It's alive. It's crazy. No, and I think like, sorry, going back to the gospel and so we're sinners. We've sinned against God. He came, he died for us. We have to repent and turn from our sins. I think that's a crucial portion of the gospel, you know, the good news, like turning away from that life, and then accepting him and what he's done for us. You know, so I would say like those 4 points are like the complete, I guess, gospel, you know.
So would you say you got there just more gradually, or like, would you say there was a moment where you're like, dude, I haven't repented. Like, I need to do this now, you know, oh my gosh. Like, what did that like realization look like?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because like, I think a lot of it comes in like parts, you know, like, I mean, there are times where it's like, it's like layers, right? Like I believe that like, you know, once you give your life to the Lord, like you have salvation, you know, and that's not like just saying the prayer. That's not just like verbally outwards. That's like literally you and God, like just you two in a room. Like, are you right with him? You know, like don't try to convince anyone else, you know, like cut the cameras, take all your friends out of the picture. Like just you two. You know, like, are you right with him or are you not? You know, it doesn't matter how much you serve. It doesn't matter how much you tithe. It's literally like, it comes down to that.
But
you know?
What does you have to be right with him look like? Are you saying someone needs to say, Jesus, you know, I believe in you? Or like you said, do they need to have a moment of repentance? Do they need to have a realization moment of, hey, I am a sinner. God, I need you. Because I feel like, you know, that's part of my story too. You can go to church your whole life. You know, and that's why I like to ask people, you know, especially Christians, because I think when you grow up in the church, you probably hear it. So, oh, he's such a good kid. Oh, that guy, you know, he's a solid guy. But the gospel is kind of the opposite of that. Like, no, you're a bad guy. You're a sinner. You like, and so that's why I'm like curious how you came to that realization and what it looked like.
I mean, honestly, dude, like, sorry if I'm like sidestepping questions. Like I'm like,
no, it's all good.
I feel like I like start answering and I go tangent and I cut you off.
It's all good, dude.
But no, I think like, dude, like the gospel is alive, like like legit, like in my life, like as you know, as a baby, right? Like you instinctually love your parents. You're just like, like I need you. Cry, you know, you see your mom, you get happy. You see a stranger, you kind of, you know, feel weird. The level of love you have for your parents changes in every season. You know, like now that I'm gonna be a father, you know, now that I'm married, I'm like, dude, my dad went through things like this, you know, like even like, you know, my parents being divorced, like I used to like not hold that against my dad or whatever, my mom, but like, I used to just be like, okay, you know, like kind of like, you know, push it to the side. But now that I'm married, I'm like, dude, every day is a battle, you know? So it's like my love for my parents has like matured and changed, you know? And so I think it's the same with the gospel, you know, it's like knowing it, hearing it as like a child, you're like, okay, cool. Like, you know, Jesus died, you know, I'm saved, I'm going to heaven. And you can even truly mean that as a child, you know, and truly be saved. But like how that looks in your life, like through each stage, you know, and for me, like growing as a Christian has been like going through these different stages and being like, and when I was like single and like, you know, messing around and doing those things, like, you know, like even like becoming a new Christian, I was still like messing around, you know, but then I didn't understand the depths of the gospel, but I heard it, you know, and I believed it. And then, so it's like, I believe, and that's why I believe, you know, like once, like going back to the whole, like you and God alone in a room, like basically when you open the door, like, you know, he like he comes in, you invite him in, and then he's like cleaning house, you know? So it's a process of sanctification of like every single day. It's like you're growing, you know? And so I think like for every like Christian or people that are seeking the Lord or whatever, it's like, it's a process, you know? And all you have to do is like, let him start it, you know?
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a really good point. You know, I'd say it's one thing to believe in God. It's another thing to believe in Jesus. It's a whole nother thing to say that you actually trust Jesus and you're going to try to do what he says.
Yeah.
When would you say that began for you?
I think it came before I was a Christian. Like I think, I really like what Tyler said, how he was saying, like, you know, was it Tyler that was saying like Jesus is like right behind you. Like, doesn't matter how far away you walk, like you turn around. Was that him?
Yeah. Like he's always pursuing you.
Yeah.
You know,
always pursuing you. Yeah.
You know, he said, I stand at the door and knock, you know, and you can't open a door that's 1,000 miles away. The door is right behind you.
Yeah.
You know, we just have to be the ones that turn around.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question again? Can you repeat it?
Just, you know, like, when would you say that you actually started trusting Jesus wholly? You know, with finances, everything, every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Or is that still a process? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think like, so there's that one story in the Bible, right? Where, there was like that lady that comes in and gives like 2 pennies or whatever. Right. She gave like all that she could, you know? And I think like, it's easy for Christians and people in, you know, religious circles to compare outward things, right? So like, oh, like I'm doing more. So like, you know, I trust God more with my finances, you know, like these Pharisees were giving so much more than she was.
Yeah.
But she gave everything she had,
you
know? So I think like in the process of sanctification, like if all you have is like 2% of your heart spiritually to the Lord, like if you give all of that, then like, you know, that's what he's seeking, you know? And then I've seen it as like I said, kind of like scientifically, I was like, okay, like let me test these things out, you know? And then when I saw like, oh, like tithing is fruitful, like you trust that more and more and more and more, you know?
So you feel like you've seen the fruits of tithing.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone out there who has been tithing?
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, I got no fruits.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is crazy.
Somebody that's been tithing already.
Yeah. Maybe they're tithing a lot. And because I think, you know, obviously there's a lot of churches that use that as I don't want to say a weapon, but you know, just it's not healthy, you know, and there's that Nathan Apfel guy that I sent you guys the other day who loves to call out churches that are stealing money from their congregation. And so, I mean, I guess what would you say to the person that's tithing and they're like, dude, I got passed up on the promotion.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a raise. You know, I'm not seeing the fruits.
Yeah. I would challenge them to do what's uncomfortable. So maybe they're comfortable tithing 10%. And so it's like, don't tithe.
Yeah. Like that doesn't require faith.
Or like just don't tithe at all or tithe more, you know, like I'm very much like, if you're comfortable, you're sinking. So it's like, they're like, cause I think what that sounds like to me is like, they need a heart check. They're like, they're not doing it for God. They're doing it for the fruit, you know? And so for me, like when it came to tithing, I was like deadbeat broke. I had like, my cards were like maxed out. And I committed to and I knew that I was like just spending recklessly. You know, I knew I was doing things not the right way. So I was like, okay, God, like when I first kind of started this journey, I was like, okay, God, like just like, I see that this is something that I should be doing. So like, I'm going to put it in my heart to do it for you. You know, like my mind was already twisted with finances. So I gave it to him to kind of like as a starting block. And so like literally if I found $5, I'd be like, what's 10% of 5? Tie that to the church, or like even just give it to, I started without even giving it to the church. I was giving it to people, like homeless people. Like I would literally just put it on like in my dash.
Yeah.
And then I think that, you know, built the spiritual like endurance to like where I am now, you know? So like now I'm like I can do more with my 90%, you know, than
you
with God.
100.
Yeah. Than with 100. So it's honestly like making myself uncomfortable, you know, that's like been like my motto as a Christian. You know, it's like, if you're doing the comfortable things, like you might be going down the path of like a Pharisee, you know? So it's like, you might be tithing not to honor God. You might be going to church, raising your hands, you know, not to honor God. but to look better, and I've fallen victim to that too. So it's not just like, like I'm better than other people. Like I've literally been that,
Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like even at church the other day, there was like a pretty girl next to me, and I didn't know her, but during worship and stuff, I'm like I didn't want to lift my hands, but like, I really didn't, but I think I don't know if it was an attack from the enemy, you should raise your hands, right? Like, or who knows? Maybe that was the Holy Spirit telling me just lift up my hand. But I think it was driven by a little bit of pressure from seeing this girl lift her hands, and it's like, ooh, like look how spiritual she is. Yeah, I need to match that. And which I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that should be the driving force of you raising your hands during worship.
Yeah, but I mean that's honestly like a great thought process, right? Because like I believe God isn't with us just in like the successes or like the spiritual highs, right? He's like put you in that situation so you could really question, like, even now, like you're reflecting on this more than you are like any other times that you did or didn't raise your hands, because you're like thinking about your heart. So I think like God is still working, like at every moment. So
it's a good point. It's a good point.
I think that's pretty solid.
What's an area of your life that you struggled trusting God with in the past, but maybe that you've really committed to trusting Jesus? You feel like it's easier now?
Yeah, dude. I was like addicted to porn. I'm saying this for the viewers. Clip that. No, like, yeah, dude. Like, I mean, kind of talking about what I was saying before, like just like loving like women, and honestly a lot of it was like validation too. Like I moved a lot, so like kind of like I learned to build my charisma, like talking to people, kind of just getting with girls, and then you do that, and then guys around you are like, oh dude, this guy, like, I gotta be with him, and so like to a point, like it was something that I thought I was using, but it was using me. So that developed into like, I would literally be watching porn like 3 times a day, like, and I was like even like sleeping with women and doing those things. And it's just like, it like had its like claws in me, but like, it's crazy. Like even before meeting Sayla, before being married, like I don't think I've watched porn in like 4 years.
Wow.
Like literally like 4 years. Like I haven't been on like any apps or anything like that, and honestly, that's just like it took a lot of intentionality in the beginning. But like I don't know, it was like the desire is like gone, and it's weird because the desire was like God removed that desire before I got married, but it took like, we have the free will to watch porn whenever we want, like we're allowed to in a sense, but not all things are profitable, so it's like I think I just like I would see, and like with the unfaithfulness and all those different things, like I just saw like the cycle that all these things had me in. So I was like, I don't want to like defile my body, and it's like, I think something that really turned the tables for me was when like, it's like because I was a Christian still watching porn, and I was like, I'm lifting these hands to praise the God and going home and worshiping Satan,
Yeah, and they're going hands down the opposite direction.
Just praising the other direction,
Yeah, no, that's a good point, dude. That's a good point.
No, and then too on that too, because I was like, like watching porn and stuff, like, it's like, oh, like I'm just gonna like watch like the normal stuff, just like guy and girl, like whatever, but then like I realized like these websites are free, like you support that, you're supporting everything, so it's like, the gay porn, the XYZ, all these bad like different things.
You even doing normal
stuff,
porn, you are contributing to the other crazier stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's interesting. Another talking point is like AI stuff. So it's like, oh, like, like stuff that's not humans, is it like, where is the moral, like, what do Christians do in this sense,
Yeah. Is it lust if it's
this person doesn't,
if they
real.
don't even exist?
Yeah.
AI wasn't around during the Sermon on the Mount.
It was not.
So, what would Jesus have said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Crazy, dude.
I think it probably still counts.
It does, yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Well, I want to transition back to relationships. Then,
Yeah.
you know, you're saying you weren't, you know, you were kind of in this cycle of, you know, what goes around comes around, fooling around with other people. You know, people are fooling around while they're in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
When we first met, you were thinking about proposing to a girl, and then called it off.
Yeah.
Was God a part of that process? What did that look like?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, because this girlfriend, like, she was a believer. But we weren't like going to church or anything together. Like, we were kind of like living, you know, a sinful lifestyle, doing those things.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I gave my life to the Lord. I got baptized like when I was in that relationship. And then I just thought like the next. Oh,
I'm curious. Sorry to cut you off. Where, like, she sees you getting baptized.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're starting to go to church a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is she down for the ride? Like, she's coming along with you, but she's not having the same spiritual breakthroughs that you are.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on during that time?
Yeah, it's hard because I don't want to like speak bad about her.
For sure.
You know,
for
so
sure.
like I'm trying like, you know, not to. But I would say just like there were times where like I was like going to church alone. You know.
Yeah. It just wasn't as high of a priority.
Yeah. And like I had a breakthrough like, dude, like because I knew I was a bad person. Like I knew I was a bad person before I like believed I was a Christian or believed in God because of the things I did. And even being with her, I was with her for 6 years. Like the first like 3 or 4 years, I found out very quickly, like she humbled me a lot. She was, you know, like I was literally walking around malls, like looking down, you know, not allowed to check out other girls. And she was like loyal to me. She had never done anything bad to me when I was doing bad things to her. Sorry. Coke. Clip it. Yeah, so like, yeah, like, and I did a lot of like bad things like early on. But then like the second half kind of like stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And then I was still being punished like by her and with a relationship. And I was still like, okay, like I need to be a better person, you know? And so she honestly did help me a lot get to that point. But then like, I realized like there's nothing I could have done to undo the things I did, you know?
Do you think once the trust is broken and like just both parties should go their separate ways?
Yeah. I mean, I think it becomes it's an active choice to trust somebody, you know? So it's like Pastor Rick Warren always said, like, you know, like how do you gain trust or build someone's confidence? You know, like he uses this baseball analogy. He's like, you know, you give them another swing, you know, like you let them try again, you know? And I think like everything we do, we have to reflect Christ, you know? So it's like I think 1 Corinthians 13 talks about like, you know, love like believes all things, trusts all things, is not jealous. I don't know if that's exactly like the wording, but like those are, it's in there. And so it's like, you know, you might have every reason not to trust somebody, you know, but like for one, if you're married to that person, you know, like building that is one thing. But I think like if you're in a dating relationship, like that's something different, you know, like you don't owe, you know, you're not married, there's no covenant to that, you know? So it's like, you don't have to stay in that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like the worldly dating scene is very much like, it's like marriage without the title, you know? So people are like, oh, like this person cheated on me or X, Y, and Z. And it's like, they owe me so much or whatever. But it's like in God's economy, it's like if somebody cheats on you, like even as a married person, like that's like legal grounds for divorce, right? You know? So it's like, you can forgive them. You don't have to trust them, you know? But if, you know, other than like those types of things, like I think, you can build trust, and, you know, if people sin and do bad things, like I think you can still build it back up if both parties are willing and repentant and, you know.
Before marriage, you're saying? Or even after marriage?
In marriage, for sure.
Before marriage, it's less owed?
Yeah. Like you don't have to.
Word.
Right.
It's totally fair to abandon ship.
Yeah. 100%. you know, right? Like, cause like worldly dating is like kind of like marriage where you think you owe something to the other person. But I would say like, you know, like if somebody cheats on you while you're dating, like I think that reveals like their nature or where they're at in that moment, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Did that answer the question?
No, yeah, that makes sense. So God bless you with this lovely girl, Selah.
Yeah.
How did you know she was the one for you?
It's weird. I don't know. I mean, like I just saw her and I was just like, I think I'm gonna marry this girl.
Really?
I literally
the first time you saw her.
Literally, yeah. I hadn't spoken a word to her.
Mm.
I was like, she was like glowing, like she was literally standing. There was like a light behind her. I was like,
Selah, give me a like on the video just for that.
Yeah. No, no, it's no, dude. But like, I don't know. I mean, like, she's a beautiful girl. You know, I'm like very attracted to her.
Yeah.
So I think like initially I was just like, yeah, like, you know, I'm very attracted to her, you know, like I want to get to know her and stuff. I think that is important, you know, like having that initial attraction helps out, you know, and like kind of like knowing or going towards that direction of like marriage, you know?
Yeah.
Especially with something like, how did you know? You know? I know, but like honestly, everybody's like story is different. Like I've met people where like, oh, we weren't attracted to each other and then we became friends and then now they're married with like X amount of kids, you know? So for me in our story, it was like, I think we had a mutual attraction. We knew nothing about each other. But like we took some time to like pray about it separately without even talking. And then we both were like, yeah, we're going to get married, like separately. Like she knew that, I knew that. We didn't even talk about it.
How long were you guys together at that point?
It was like, I think we got married within like less than a year.
No, but you guys had this little separation and you guys both came back and said, yeah, we're going to get married.
Yeah.
How long were you guys together
Well,
at that point?
okay, we were...
You want to pull the microphone?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
You're good.
Looking back at it now, we talk about like we both knew in that moment, but we didn't verbally say like, oh yeah, like we were gone for like, we were apart for 7 days, but it wasn't like, okay, we came back and we're like, I'm going to marry you. Like we didn't say that. But then now that we're married or like a little further down the line, we were both like, yeah, like during that time is when we knew. But it progressed like each stage. So like after that, we got back together and we were like, yeah, like we should date, you know, but then we're like, okay, let's be friends for like a month. A month became 2 weeks. So like we started dating within 2 weeks of knowing each other. And then.
Do you think the attraction was like just too strong for both of you?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like we've talked about this before. Look, if I meet a beautiful girl,
yeah,
she's Christian.
Yeah.
She likes my jokes. I like her jokes. We like the same food.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, we can only be friends for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean?
Yeah.
And so do you think that's kind of what happened?
Yeah. I mean, I think like, yeah, it just like, it's so funny now, like just knowing Selah, like we're so different. Like we're so different in how we approach life. Like she just like, she can kind of get like, oh, like God spoke this into my life, just even a little bit. And she's like, I trust it. I know it's going to happen. And then it happens. It's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, and this happens in her life all the time. So like she told me like she just knew, like she had like a peace. Like during that time of being apart, she was praying over me that I would get a girlfriend. She was like, that's like kind of her thing. She would always say like, if she was like kind of thinking about a guy too much when she was single, she'd be like, God, like give them a girlfriend, and then they would get a girlfriend. So like she was doing that for me, and then obviously never happened. But then the way I approach life is very much like, I guess just like kind of completely opposite. Like I'm very much like, okay, God, like what's the plan? Like, how is this going to happen? How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
You know? But I think we were both, I don't know how that ties into the question, but
no, I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense. Would you say, did you pray for a wife or like, did you pray for a girlfriend when you were single?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What did those prayers sound like?
I think Proverbs 19:14. I'm blanking right now.
Well, you said it with confidence.
It was my screensaver. I was like, that's my go-to.
I like it.
But it was like, it's something like fathers give inheritance of like wealth and land, but only the Lord can give an understanding wife. So like, that was like a verse that was like holding me through courting her. But before that, I was very intentional, like even like kind of wanting to overcome like porn and those things. Like I was just like, I don't believe that I can be faithful in a marriage or a relationship while I'm still doing these things on the side. So from the moment I kind of gave my life to the Lord, or the moment I took it seriously, like I was like, okay, what can I do to like prepare myself for the next stages? Because I think like when I was living in the world, I didn't care about the next stages. I was like, they would come, I don't have to prepare for them. But like now that I'm a Christian, now that I was a Christian at that time, I was like, okay, what needs to happen? You know? And then I was like, okay, so I know someday I'm going to have a wife, I'm going to have kids. So like, how do I prepare now for that? So, sorry.
No, Coke.
You're gonna cut it out.
Banned. Coca-Cola is banned from the pod.
Whenever I'm on. But sorry. Yeah. So just being like intentional in that way of being like, okay, God, like, what do I need to do? And just being like really intentional for the next season. So like, I got to the point where I was like, you know, like, I mean, I would pursue girls. I, you know, wanted to date and get married, but like I think I focused more on being like, okay, like what things can I do, you know? And there were three things. It was like my spiritual health, my physical health, and my finances. So those three things were like things I wanted to focus on in singleness. So I was like, okay, like because the girl that I want is, you know, like she's gonna have, you know, that spiritual health. She's gonna have goals and ambitions, and she's gonna be like fit, you know. And I was like, if I'm not like in those three categories, then I'm gonna be insecure, you know. So I was like, okay, let me prepare for the like the desire I have in my heart, you know. So I think like working on those things, I'm being very prayerful. Like I even like I would write like prayers to like my future wife, or like just be praying like, God, like I know she's out there, I know, you know. But I think like God blessed me with that when I was seeking it least, you know. Like when I kind of stopped thinking about it, that's when it came. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing that God has shown you through married life that you could not have learned any other way?
Every morning, Selah gives me an opportunity to be like Jesus. Like it's insane. Like, and now I know why the divorce rate is so high, like outside of the church. I mean, within the church too, but like, like marriage is like, it is no joke. You know, it's like, I think as guys, we're like, oh, you know, like when I can get laid, when I can do these things, like all my problems are going to be solved. You know, I'm not going to worry about less. I'm not going to, you know, do those things. But like, I think, you know, when you get married, like you literally have to like die to yourself. Like all your desires, all of your ambitions, all of like your goals and plans, like you literally have to die to them. And what I've seen is like you take it to the cross, it dies there, and then anything important, like God will bring back to life and make fruitful. You know, so like that was something I was learning, and I'm still learning. Like all of my, because I'm very ambitious. I'm very much like I want to be this, I want to do that. You know, and now that I have a wife, like it's not about me. You know, like I can't just be like, you know, I'm supposed to be the leader, but like I can't just like run and have her chase after me.
Yeah.
In my marriage, you know, I realize like anything that I'm gonna do, like I have to give to God first.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, you know, wanting to start a business, you know, like my finances, savings, all these things, like it was hard because like I would fight with Selah daily because I'm like, why are you spending this money? Why are you doing these things? Why, you know, but like, and I was blaming her for everything. And when I would pray, like God change her, fix her, God was like, this is an opportunity for you to bring it to me, you know? So like, I learned like, oh, like this is like something one of the biggest things I learned is like, I've sinned against God more than Selah has ever sinned against me. And so when I realized that, it was like, oh shoot, like I should stop like pressing her to change or be different, you know?
Yeah.
And then just started like loving her and just like, you know, like literally forgetting problems and forgetting offenses is like what a man has to do to like survive, you know?
Would you say forgetting or like forgiving?
Both.
Yeah, because I feel like forget doesn't acknowledge like hurt and stuff, you know, like so it's a bit of both, right?
Yeah, I like honestly like God for like, you know, when Jesus dies and he like washes us clean of our sins, right? Like we're washed like clean completely.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't understand that fully, but I know that like that makes us righteous in God's sight. Jesus the groom did that for his bride, the church. So like we need to do the same for our wives.
Yeah.
You know, like I think like if you focus so much on those things, then like you speak them to life.
Yeah.
So like I found like, you know, like God will never abandon you, you know? So it's like, even if I forget things, like God like won't. So it's like, I was the one like keeping track of like these things. Right. Like, and I realized I didn't have to, you know, like I realized like it's completely okay for me to forget anything and everything bad that Selah's ever done, because God knows and he's going to protect me. And I told Selah too, like, there's nothing she can do to hurt me more than God can heal me. So I think like that's where the faith aspect comes, because I think I had a lot of insecurity and still do. And I wanted like, I wanted her to be perfect and, you know, not do anything to make me upset or second guess my masculinity or X, Y, and Z. But I realized like, she doesn't owe me any of that. So it's not her job to make me these things.
Yeah.
You know, it's God. God's the one that's building me up, strengthening me, you know? And so she's given me the opportunity to step out of my comfort zone and, you know, like really lay it all. Like she's making me a better man, you know?
That's awesome, dude.
So,
so we got baby on the way. How many weeks now?
I think like 4. It's December 13th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the pregnancy, do you feel like God has shown you, the man, anything?
So like, my dad, he like, I don't know where to start with this, but like, he doesn't like, I would say my dad taught me how to be a loving man, you know, and that's just like the way that God made him.
Okay.
And like I would wake up and I would see him like cooking breakfast for us, or like he's very like physical touch, you know, love language. Like he was very much like that, you know. And I think like something that I struggled with a lot, or not really something I struggled with a lot, but something that I got to exercise a lot was like serving Selah. Like literally like washing the dishes, cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like all those things, you know, without getting anything in return, in a sense, you know? So I think it was weird because it was like, how is this making me like more of a man when I feel like a woman? And I'm like, you know, like just like, you know, my thoughts are like, oh, like she should be cooking, you know, like this is year 1, X, Y, and Z, you know? But like, I don't know, just like doing those things, it's like Jesus came and he served.
Yeah.
You know, like he washed the feet of his disciples, you know? And it's like, I think that's really what a man is, you know? Like a man like is somebody who's going to die and suffer in silence, and, you know, like it's not about me, you know? And I think like her being pregnant, like at first I would kind of like, before the baby was showing, I'd be like, why are you like, I wouldn't say like, why are you being lazy or whatever, but I would allude to it. I'd be like, I'm like working, then I come home and then I have to do these things, you know? But I think like, yeah, like it's not like a man doesn't like, not that a man doesn't complain, but like a man like does what has to be done, you know, whether it feels fair or not. And that's something that I learned, like, oh, like I'm just going to do it because it has to be done. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter, like, you know, if it is more masculine, feminine, like it just has to be done. And that's like the most manly characteristic. That's literally Jesus going to the cross.
Dude, that's literally like when you said it, that's like what was going through my brain is, you know, we have the Old Testament, they're making sacrifices and it's not enough, you know? And like you said, no amount of sacrifice, no amount of good deeds that we can do will fix this issue that we have. And Jesus is the ultimate man. And, you know, I'm going to do what has to be done.
Yeah.
And so when you said that, I'm just like, dude, that is the cross.
Yeah, dude, it's so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable, dude. Like, I hate it. Like, but it's like the gym, right? Like, I'm sure, like, sane people don't love the gym in the beginning, at least, you know?
Right.
But then you see the fruit, you see what it produces, you see your mental clarity, all these different things. And that's the same thing as walking with Christ, right? Like, our flesh, our temptation is to not do the feminine things, not do the things that I feel like, oh, you know, like this is a woman's job and stuff. But then a true man is like, there are dishes here that got to be clean, you know, like I don't care, you know, like whose responsibility this is. I'm going to get things done because, you know, I want to hold down my household, you know? Yeah. So I think that's something about being a man that I learned. And I think I brought up my dad because like he was very servant hearted, you know? And so that just, you know, gave me a lot of respect for him. Yeah. Growing up, I had like a hard time respecting my dad for various reasons. But like now that I'm a believer, now that I'm married, now that all X, Y, and Z, I see, you know, the level of love that he has for me. And, you know, I think God has just made me, you know, learn to love my dad more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there anything you're looking forward to, like, as a father?
Yeah. So we're having a girl and I'm excited because like I wanted a boy at first because I was like, I want to wrestle. I want to like sports, all those different things.
Yeah.
But like when I saw like the ultrasound, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to be a girl dad. I was like, you know, I'm excited to just like hold like, you know, my little baby.
Yeah.
For one. For two, I'm excited that she's a girl too, because like I think the girls tend to stay like close to home, you know? So like if they like get married, like the guy comes in, you know, your household. So I'm excited for like those things, you know?
What about least excited?
That's what I was thinking.
Boys.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like, I don't know. I think I'm very much like, I think when it comes to like guys, like I've been the worst type of guy, you know? So I think I have kind of a soft spot for like, okay, like he's going to mess up. He might like, you know, hurt my daughter's feelings, but like we've dedicated Parker, well, that's her name, to the Lord. So I trust that God is going to protect her, even if she goes through trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard, but it's going to build her, for one. But with boys, I'm actually excited to like, you know, vet a guy.
Yeah.
But then to like when he's like past that stage, like really like uplift him and be friends with him and just be like, you know, like, hey, like I love you, dude, you know, and treat him like a son.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I think least exciting is like just like sending her off into the world, you know, like, cause right now, obviously she's in the womb, like we're talking about so many stages where like, how are we going to take care of her? What are we going to do? You know, but like the world isn't going to take care of her, you know? So like when she's 18, 21, those stages, like I'm afraid to like, you know, what's that going to look like, you know? And, you know, I think like, you know, Selah is a really pretty girl, you know, like I think we have a really pretty baby. Yeah, good. Yeah.
You got a good girl.
When I shave, you know, and so like, I think that's just like, part of me thinks about like, you know, the things that I would like do to women and just like, you know, the type of guy that I was. So I'm like, you know, like thinking like, okay, like what goes around comes around, you know, like, you know, and I wish I thought of those things more before I disrespected women, you know? But I don't know. I mean, like I trust God more than I am fearful. So, you know, I think it's going to be fine, you know?
That's awesome, dude. Well, I mean, let's transition over to ministry.
Yes.
Because I know you're pretty plugged into Harvest Church. Yeah. You know, that's like the Harvest with Greg Laurie, you know, and, you know, here in Orange County, are there any specific ministries that you're plugged into that you want to highlight?
Yeah. Right now I'm serving in Abilities. So that's like the kids ministry. Like, it's cool. It's pretty fun. I do the second service and I don't think we have enough like publicity about that service. Cause like sometimes there's like literally no kids. Sometimes there's like 1, 2, 3.
But it's just what age, abilities, like
it's special needs.
Oh,
yeah.
Special
it's, I think I don't know the age range, but it's like younger kids. So like, I think younger than like middle school at least. So yeah, it was interesting because like, yeah, I mean that's like a whole like story, but like I walked into that room on accident, and they were like, "Oh, like, are you here to serve?" And I was like, "Why? Do you guys need somebody?" I was looking for Selah, but then she was like, "Yeah, like we actually need more men in this ministry because like the kids respond well to having like men here. It's just like kind of like an authority or like masculinity thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they're more calm, even just with a man like in the room.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I was like, okay. It was interesting though because like I signed up, I did all that stuff, but then I didn't actually do it for like another 4 months. So I signed up, I don't know when, and then I ended up like being like a greeter or like an usher or whatever. And then they wanted to like, I guess like I was given the opportunity to be like promoted to like a greeter lead. So like I would be like leading the second service greeters. Um, and then it's funny, right when I got that opportunity, Abilities reached out to me. And then so I had a choice. Like, okay, do you lead, being a greeter, or do you step into Abilities? And Abilities is in like the back room, like no one's there, like there's no glory, there's nothing,
Yeah, even being an usher or leading the usher, it's a
clout.
lot of people see
Yeah.
and a lot of eyes, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And
at least more than
right.
the kids.
Yeah. There's a lot more visibility, like, I mean, like they like, I would congregate and like, pray over the group and like send people out, and I really had to pray about that because I was like, I wanted to progress. I wanted to do more in ministry. And that just seemed like, okay, like if I do this, then, like maybe after that I could do something else, or like, like key people would see me doing X, Y, and Z, but then in Abilities, it was like, dude, like, no one knows that it exists, but then I prayed about it and it was just like, do I need to greet, there's like 20 million people greeting,
yeah, the need was much stronger.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, like I'll just like in faith, like step into this. And it's interesting because it's like, I'm not really doing much. Like like I said, some days like I'll be there and there's no kids. And so like part of me is like, okay, like, like, do I need to like, do another ministry or X, Y, and Z, but I've just been like, just waiting,
Yeah.
like God knows where to find me if he needs me, if he wants me to do something. And I don't know if this is another one of the questions, but like, it's just so interesting because like, I've always kind of felt the calling to be a pastor. So like going in this direction, I was like, I don't really know what's going on here. Like it doesn't seem like it's going down the route of like pastoral ministry, but then obviously we know like, one of my mentors from like Joshua Tree literally asked me to give a Sunday service.
Yeah.
So like I gave a sermon, when it felt like I was in the back room, like, doing X, Y, and Z.
Interesting.
So it was like when I surrendered my heart, it's like,
I think that's when that first opportunity came.
Yeah. And I've been asked to like give like devos at like church and X, Y, and Z, but it's so interesting, like God's economy, right? Like all the politics when like a career job, like in work, it's like put yourself in front of the right people, perform, do X, Y, and Z. And then, when the opening comes, they'll remember you, right?
Yeah.
But God's economy with this, like, if you just be faithful with what's in front of you and like don't seek the opportunities, like God will find you and exalt you if he wants to.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. I didn't reach out to, my mentor and ask him like, hey, can I give a sermon? He was just like,
yeah.
Like it was interesting too, because he reached out to 3 other people at first, like his usual, because he's like the head pastor,
right?
So like his usual backups,
yeah.
And then he reached out to me, and then when he reached out to me, one of the other guys was like, "Oh, I can do it now," and then he was like, "No, I think." He was like, "I think Michael needs to do it," and then that week he was actually able to give the sermon, but then he was like, "I feel like God wants you to give the sermon,"
Yeah.
So I literally gave that sermon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just weird because like God just,
yeah.
found me.
What's it like preaching for the first time? What were some of the thoughts leading up to it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess how far in advance did you know? And then what were your thoughts leading up to it?
I think it was like a week or 2.
Okay.
Or something.
I mean, it's not much time, dude.
Pretty quick timeline. Yeah. I might have even been a week. Yeah, it was interesting because I mean, before that, I officiated Sean's wedding.
Yeah.
So like I had a lot more time to do that. And then
for sure.
Yeah, and then giving the sermon, it was like back to back, like, like situations. But it was cool. I mean, like I just like now I know why God didn't put me into this sooner. Like he prepares you for the things that you're gonna do. Like when I first got the calling to be a pastor, like when I was early on in like my walk, I would have probably like got crushed and like walked away from the faith. But like God has given me the opportunities to lead small groups, to serve and do all these different things, and then like give devos, to officiate the wedding. And then he opened that door to give a sermon, and honestly it was probably like a 4 out of 10 sermon. Like it wasn't like anything crazy, but it was just one of those eye-opening moments where like, dang, like God does not like his promises do not return void. Like he's like, if he says something, like he's gonna make it happen. But a lot of the times, like we're in the way of that.
Well, dude, I think our perception of sermons is definitely skewed being here in Southern California. I mean, we have Rick Warren, Greg Laurie, like some spiritual OGs, that
some gangsters
that can really put together good sermons. And it's just another Sunday here, and I think a lot of people out in the world take for granted, how much work that their pastor probably puts into, like you said, a 4 out of 10 sermon. Because we're exposed to such good sermons all the time. I feel like God, even if it's a 4 out of 10, whatever needed to be said, to, even if it was one person in the audience, like that's what's gonna be said.
I mean, like literally right after, like a woman came up to me and like bawling. She was like, everything you said was like everything I needed to hear.
Wow.
And then there was like another guy that came up to me and he was like, oh, you have like this anointing. Like, I know you have this anointing. I know you're going to be like X, Y, and Z or whatever. And then there was another guy that was just like, you weren't speaking into the mic. Like he was like just drilling me. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh. But
I mean, was that at least a pretty good feeling? Like, I guess, when did you feel that it was a 4 out of 10? Was it the moment you finished? You're like, ugh, and you just like, get me off the stage. And then the woman comes and she kind of helps lift your spirits.
Yeah. I mean, I think like going into it, I was like, oh, this is going to be rough.
Because you feel like you didn't have enough time.
I mean, like, I don't know. It was interesting. Like, I had the confidence and faith that like, there's no accidents, right? Like, like there's like, it was just as much time as God wanted me to have, like a quicker turnaround time. So I was like, okay, like, I think a lot of it comes down to just faith, like it just comes down to like, all right, like I might not be ready. I might not be willing, but God, if you're calling me into this, I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
And that's, I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. Even on stage, I was rewatching it. Every other word was, Every other word was
you
like
had some ums. I
a
remember,
lot, dude. It was.
I think we'll link it down below if you guys want to check it out. There was a few ums.
Oh, there were a lot. Yeah, and so it's like,
but now you know for next time.
Yeah, and
I think it's, dude. I want to say, the Wayans brothers, like the comedians.
Yeah.
I want to say the oldest brother. When he does stand up, he films every time he does like a practice set.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time he gets to the final set of like 1 hour, supposedly he's ran through it like 300 times.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's watched the film like 300 times.
Yeah.
And so, it's not, perfect sermons don't happen overnight, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm where I'm at now. I think the goal isn't to be like a proficient speaker.
Yeah.
What I'm realizing is like just faith. And
100%. I think there's plenty of good what is it, orator? Like some speeches,
like exhorting, something like that. Yeah.
But there's plenty of people who can give good speeches.
Yeah.
That probably shouldn't be a pastor.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a pastor is really meant to shepherd the flock, you know, and just because you're good on stage and good with a microphone, you could be that, but then a terrible pastor.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think you're right. It's like stepping out in faith and doing what God is calling you to.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think before, had I given like a 4 out of 10 sermon, like a long time ago, like when I had like a lot more pride, I still have a lot of pride, but like when I wasn't ready for it, I think I would have been so hung up on a 4 out of 10 sermon. Now I'm like, I don't care. Like,
yeah, you can flush it onto the next one.
Just because I'm like, okay, like, you know, like if this wasn't to your needs or liking, like take that up with God, you know, because like I'm not here to be a perfect Christian. You know, I'm not here to be a perfect person. Like there's only one perfect person, you know? So I think like a lot of my life I lived with it, trying to please the expectations of others. And I think now I'm like, okay, like I know, I mean, like Pastor Rick Warren, like some other pastor friends that I have that were like my first sermon, like I literally like bawled my eyes out and ran like halfway through, you know? And so like what I before going up there, I was like, there were like 3 main points that I had. I was like, if I remember those 3 main points, and I don't get off the stage, then I'm going to call it a win.
Yeah.
So I was like, just those 2 things, like, you know, remember these points, and literally just stay on the stage. I was like, I'm up, you know, like
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that happened, and it was a 4 out of 10 sermon, but it's like, you know, I just see it as like, okay, like if God is going to give me more opportunities, then maybe it'll be a 5, 6, 7, 10, you know, maybe some days I'll have a 4 again, but like, you know, that's not it. It's up to God, you know, like we're judged not based on like our performance, but our willingness, you know, and I mean, that's not to discount like, you know, you need to be biblically sound and have good theology and speak well and do those things.
Yeah.
But, it's a process, you know, and I'm more so like, okay, like it's going to happen if God wants it to happen. If I never give another sermon, then it's like, okay, like that's what God wants, you know?
Yeah.
But I just want to live in line with his will for my life, you know?
Well, you know, one of the moments, and we kind of talked about it earlier, but one of the moments in the sermon that you were like 100% honest, talked about, you know, there's still things that you don't fully understand.
Yeah.
Still doubt kind of.
Yeah.
You know, like why did Jesus have to die?
Right.
I mean, do you feel at peace with that now?
Yeah.
Or do you still struggle with that? Or are there other areas of like ministry or faith that you struggle with?
Yeah. I mean, like before, having doubts and uncertainties about my faith really scared me. I was like, oh, like, you know, I didn't believe and really understand like the virgin birth, you know, like Jesus, like doing these miracles, doing these things. I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't really like, I was like, okay, like what's going on here? You know, like this Bible, it's written, is it tampered with? You know, are we supposed to be tithing 10%? All these questions, right? And I was more scared to not have answers at that time. I think growing as a Christian doesn't mean knowing more. It's trusting more, you know? And I think your faith, when your faith grows, like it doesn't matter what you know, you know? I think like, I gave a Devo recently for the Serve rally, and it was Proverbs 3, 5-6. It's, you know, trust in the Lord, with all of,
lean not on your own understanding.
Lean not on your own understanding, and seek, I don't know, I'm butchering it, but it's like, acknowledge him in like everything you do, and he will guide your steps, your plans, you know? Yeah. So like, I think I've come to peace so much more with not knowing, you know, like the goal as a Christian, like the Pharisees knew everything, you know, the Pharisees like knew more about the Bible, you know, they followed the law to a T, but they didn't have the love of Christ in their heart.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you have to choose one, it's like, dude, like I'm going to choose like the love, you know, and then God is going to correct me when I'm wrong, you know? And I ask the hard questions all the time. I'm like, you know, I have doubts and uncertainties about the faith and those things, but
what do you think is like the biggest one right now? If there's one that like creeps up the most or gives you the most cause for concern.
Yeah. I haven't been struggling with like, I guess those kind of like doubts. Like I used to like, I have, I guess like thoughts about them, but like, they just don't like linger anymore.
Yeah, it's not like a hardcore struggle.
Yeah, because I think before it was so much like I need to know or else I can't believe. But now I'm more in the camp of like I believe and I don't need to know. Like I don't need to understand this, you know? It's like, I mean, and what's crazy is like a lot of the world operates in this sense, right? Like it's not just Christians. It's like, you know, like even being an employee, you have no idea what your CEO is doing.
Right.
But you know you're going to get paid. You know if you do X, Y, and Z and you follow faithfully, then you'll get paid. If you don't do your job, you're going to get fired.
Right.
So my job as an employee is to, you know, push this paper, do X, Y, and Z. You know, it's not to be concerned with what the CEO is doing. And I think like that's where my faith in action has, you know, I've been before I was like, oh, like what is this faith? Like everything I need to know what heaven, angels, demons, all these things. But then now I'm like, okay, like let me just, if I'm going to put all of my eggs in one basket, it's stewarding what's in front of me. And that's been so much more fruitful. You know, and it's not like ignoring these things, you know, I mean, like we kind of talked about the translations, right? How some people are like, oh, KJV only, you know, NIV, whatever, ESV. And I think that's something actually, you know, the Bible Project,
Bible Project with the good images and cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah, I follow them.
Yeah. So
shout
like,
out Bible Project.
Yes. Shout out.
One day we'll work together.
Get us on there. Something one of the guys said was like things he was saying 10 years ago are completely different than what he's saying today. And then even now, like he was kind of talking about like discrepancies in the Bible and literally the text itself, how like he believes that like some words or numbers are skewed from book to book. Like I think in like 2 Kings or something, there's like direct like contradictions or whatever. And he says something along the lines of like those are kind of like errors or something, but it's like meant to be like overlooked or something like that. But then that kind of got my gears spinning like, oh, like, so there are contradictions. Like these people that are pumping out this Christian content, you know, don't even believe, you know, like the Bible is like, you know, like completely uniform or whatever.
Like 1000% perfect.
Yeah. And I mean, and I don't want to like butcher their theology. I don't know if that's what they think, but that's kind of what I got from it. But then like, I don't know. I think I'm at the point now where I'm like, it's literally like my relationship with Christ, you know, like, and even what he said, because he said like there are things 10 years ago he was saying that he doesn't believe now. So in 10 years from now, maybe these things that he's doubting, you know, could be reverted, you know? So it's like, I think the walk of a Christian is one-on-one. It's a one-on-one with God, you know, because like before I remember like Saddleback and Harvest, like, you know, there's just things that are different, you know, and I think like mega churches, small churches, all these things like, you know, things that people hyperfixate on here completely different than here.
Right.
And, you know, like other churches, it's like, oh, we believe that this is core doctrine. Oh, we believe this isn't, you know,
right.
If you believe this, you're not a Christian, but then opposite here. Right.
Right.
And so I think like it doesn't matter like what church you're at, you know, like God has you there for a reason and there's things you need to learn from that, you know? And so I think like kind of just being like open to knowing, like, I don't know everything, you know? So I think that's just helped me a lot with like, I guess growing in my faith and I like learning how to fail in a sense, learning how to doubt, you know, not getting my doubts resolved, you know? Does that make sense?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
What would you say is like your biggest prayer right now? Just in general.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just very like, I'm very content, you know, like I want, you know, I want to be like providing for my family, like soul income,
Of course.
Those kind of things. I want my daughter to be healthy. I want my wife to deliver with as minimal pain as possible. But I don't know. I just like honestly like trust in the Lord so much right now that I'm like, God, like literally like let your will be done. Like even if I can't provide, even if Selah has pain, even whatever it may be, like I guess my biggest prayer is like, I want to just submit to the things that God has for me, you know, Like,
it's awesome.
Like, because I mean, you know, Jesus in like the Garden of Gethsemane, he was like, you know, he wanted something, but he was like, God, like, let your will be done, you know? And
he said, if you can, take this cup from me.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but your will be done.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just like, you know, we're like, God, you know, do whatever you may do. And then God's like, all right, lose your job. And then you're like, oh,
not that though.
Like, I don't want that. You know, like, that's not what I was talking about, you know?
Yeah.
And I just pray for more of a heart to be like, okay, God, like, you took this opportunity away from me. Like, all right, let's roll. You know, where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and right now I don't have that as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not like submitted to that as much as, you know, like I want to be. So.
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean, prayer.
Yeah, man. Anything that we didn't cover that you feel like we should going on in the world?
Yeah.
Just life.
Yeah. How are you feeling about like the pod? Like how is it like, I know like you've said for a long time, like this has been like something that you feel like God has been calling you towards and stuff.
Yeah.
Like what is God speaking to you now that you're in the midst of it?
It's a great question, man. I think the few conversations that I've had with like video editors and stuff, everyone has been like, dude, I see what you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And I like it. Like each person that I've spoken to. And I think I've learned like I've learned about surrender as funny as that sounds, because I think I'm such a perfectionist at times. Even at one of my last jobs, I was so meticulous about my emails. My coworkers would ask me to double check theirs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
And then they're like, yeah, you know, Estevan has that razzle dazzle on
Yeah,
his email,
yeah.
so like, can you check mine? And I'd be like, dude, you got to remove this.
Yeah,
Too many words here, you know, and like, and they liked it, you know what I mean? And so I think I've learned, like, when you're a perfectionist, it can slow you down a lot.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're trying to start a business or start anything. And I think you can get analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things even has just been in these early stages, like surrendering control and trusting God to provide like a video editor.
Yeah.
And I know the people watching this, the editors watching this right now, like, hey, I'm here.
He's like, I'm the answered prayer. He's like, you got to pay me more.
But yeah, I think just even surrendering that control, because like you can't do everything, you know? And so I think that's been a huge one. And I think it's been a really good feeling that when I do talk to the editors, that they're like, I see what you're trying to do here and I like it. Because, and I think we talked about this before, like I feel like there's so many podcasts out in the world that, you know, you give 3 hours to and you're like, dude, I just like lost 10 brain cells.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even,
you're like dumber coming out.
Yeah. Like maybe you laughed a little, and yes, there are those times where we just need to laugh and you know, joke around and you know me, that's, I think I lean that way in general, but you know, when you commit so much time to something, I just felt like a lot of the conversations that I was listening to weren't fruitful. You know what I mean? And so it's been affirming to hear, you know, from people, hey man, I see what you're trying to do here. Yeah. I like it. You know, I kind of like the direction you're going in. And so that's been nice.
Cool. So you're not working right now, right?
This is it, dude.
I'm
all in.
How has that been? Like, what is your like your goals and like, you know, what do you want out of this, you know?
My goals, please click the subscribe button.
Right here. Click this.
Yeah, I think it's
a link
right
below
here,
or something. Yeah.
Or over here. Yeah, click that. No, but I think for me, and I think we talked about this a while back, like you have to be careful telling people like your God-given dreams.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
100%.
I think so much about Joseph. You know what I mean? That God gave him these dreams, and hey, I saw the sun and the moon, and there was these stars, but one star got really big, and everyone was bowing down to it, and then the other dream he has with the stalks of wheat, and one gets big and the rest are bowing down to it. God didn't give that dream to his whole family, and so when you have certain dreams for your business or whatever thing you're going to start in your life, some people will not understand. Like, to you, it's such a clear vision. And dude, and who knows, this thing might be a sinking ship. And in 1 year, I said, dude, that sucks. I made $0, whatever it is, but I think surrendering that, like being okay with that, is a huge thing, but not giving so much weight to people's opinions. Because man, I walked away from a pretty good job, to do this. And I think the average person, they just can't fathom it, and especially like a non-believer. I think the Christians that I tell, they're kind of like, because their YouTube algorithms are a little different. I think they've seen this type of content come up, the testimony videos and that stuff. So I think they're more understanding of it. But especially if you tell like a non-Christian, oh yeah, dude, I'm doing this. It's just the reactions, so I've learned you kind of got to keep it at arm's distance. You
have to protect it.
For sure. For sure.
I think that's like stewarding well, like, I mean, there's the seasons of like, you don't see any growth, any fruit, but it's like you're protecting, like, I mean, the little sapling doesn't have any bark, it's not going to survive the winter, so it's like God gave you something precious. And I think like I've been in that too, like where, God has put things, like even being a pastor, like in the beginning, I didn't want to do it. I was like, this is cringy. This is weird, And then I was like, I want to do this. And I was telling everybody. And then people were like, I don't see that. People were saying, I do see that. It's like confusing,
Yeah, I think like, especially, I'm an extrovert, the Myers-Briggs personality thing, ENT, so like an extroverted thinker. So you like to process your thoughts with other people.
Right,
And if I had to guess, you're probably along the same way. And so, when you're processing your thoughts with other people, though, like, it's tough. You can't give too much weight to the opinion. And I think I've learned to trust in God more than like people's opinions more. And but that's a process too. You know what I mean? So
I mean, there are people out here literally not serving God, serving the enemy, and they don't know that they're serving the enemy, so it's like, they could be influenced to tear you down, and not even know and love you,
and it's like you said, it's coming from a place of love. They to them, this is them showing max love. And that's why I give my mom props, because everything I've ever told her in life, hey, I think I'm gonna become a doctor. Okay, let's do it.
Hey,
I think I'm gonna do this. Hey, I'm gonna work in sales. Trust me, like, there's good money in sales. Like, it's gonna work out. And then I'm working crappy sales jobs for a few years. I swear.
Shout out moms.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I mean, every bob and weave and every step that I've taken, she's been like fully supportive.
Yeah. So that's good, dude. So I could shoot off a lot of questions. I feel like this is good content too. So dude, I'm just gonna keep asking. What does leadership look like to you in this season?
What does leadership look like?
I mean, like, not working. You're co-leading a group right now. Like, even like leading yourself to get up and do this. Like what does that mean to you in this season?
Well, I think starting with me, like you said, trying to be somewhat disciplined of like my day to day. I think a lot of people, and including myself, can suffer from what I like to call like productive procrastination. Where you're like, oh, I'm going to watch this YouTube video about podcasting, or, oh, I'm going to watch this interview with Mr. Beast for 2 hours because like it's good to know. But meanwhile, there's certain things that you're supposed to do that you're kind of putting off. Like, I should be calling people to set up if they want to come, do this podcast with me or whatever instead. So I think like leading myself in just continuing to do the things that like you don't necessarily want to do, it's especially when it's a new channel, I think at the moment 30 subscribers.
Oh, nice.
But people that doesn't carry a lot of weight or authority. You know what I mean? And so it's like, hey, want to go on my podcast or whatever? And so I working through those stages, but I think just like giving myself the discipline to like keep doing those things. I think like leadership for others, like you said, I'm co-leading a small group, but it's more I would say like we're very much in the same camp, like me and my co-leader, that like we try to let the Bible do the talking. We put a passage there, and we're just, and him and I, we don't really necessarily like go super hardcore into the scripture like before we do it with the guys, and so we're making discoveries there with them too. But I think kind of like we talked about before, like there's a difference between believing God is Jesus, and then actually trusting Jesus. I think for me, leadership is like when you decide, hey, like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm actually going to trust Jesus, like with what he tells me to do, like with drugs and alcohol, with my sex life, and because I think when you're single, I don't want to say, like, you can get away with more.
No, for sure. Yeah. 100%.
I don't know if that's like the right way to put it, but you can get away with more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like no one's dependent on you to not do that stuff.
And, but I think it's just like choosing in the moments, like, no, you know what? Like, I'm not going to do this with this girl. You know what I mean? And that's leadership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And, I'm not gonna have a drink tonight, or I'm only gonna have one. I think that's leadership. And so I think that's like a big area of my life that I'm choosing to be a little more conscientious of now, and especially because I'm trying to build this. Like, you can't be posting the Christian content and then meanwhile getting blitzed every weekend. And So I think that's what like leadership, it like towards others, looks like.
You took initiative to go out to Utah after the Charlie Kirk incident.
Well, no,
and it
happened when we landed.
Oh yeah.
So the moment we landed, my buddy Bowie, he's showing me on X, because X, Twitter, the clips are not filtered.
Yeah, dude.
It was
insane.
Yeah, it was. So the moment we landed, he's just kind of scrolling. He's like, "Dude, look what happened." And I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was the moment we landed.
And you landing, like, have you ever been to Utah before?
No, never.
So how was I'm sure your experience there was like changed a little bit. Like probably like you probably didn't get the Utah experience before Charlie Kirk. Like, and not to say that there's anything huge different, but like, did you notice anything weird, like vibes with people? I know part of the reason why you went there was to kind of talk to, like the church, Mormons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I posted a nice little YouTube video if anyone wants to watch on the other channel, about my experience at the LDS temple. But I think I just imagined that the temple would be like infested with Mormons, like just everywhere.
Yeah.
Granted, when I went, they were doing construction on it. So maybe it's less of a hangout spot than it normally would be. I'd be open to going back, but I think that was like my perception. And then when I got there, I think I just learned, and I'm pretty sure it's Richard Dawkins. He's like a pretty famous atheist. He likes to say, "Oh, you're just Christian because you were born here," or you know, you're just Mormon because you were born in Utah, or, you know, if you were born in India, you'd be a Hindu.
Yeah.
You know, if you were born in Italy, you'd be a Catholic, which, you know, is partially true. Like
statistically.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I learned out there, one, Mormon people are just super nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Jake.
Yeah. Shout out Jake. But you know, they're super nice, which probably helps them win over a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you know, the discussions of like in deep theology of Christianity versus Mormonism, you know, even when I was like calling to try to set up an appointment, they're like, "Oh, we don't like to focus on the differences. We like to focus on the similarities."
You're like,
okay. But you know, I met a guy at the Mormon Museum who, you know, he was kind of like, "Oh, you know, what are you filming? What, you know, what's it about?" I said, "Oh yeah, you know, it's a Christian YouTube channel. I'm trying to do this, and he goes, you know, he starts asking me hey, well, what do you think about drugs and alcohol?" You know, I said, "Well, yeah, I don't think we should, you know, if we're talking about being of sober mind, like Paul says, like probably shouldn't."
Yeah.
And so he goes, yeah, you know, I've seen some of these videos where, you know, these people say they're Christian, but they're getting drunk and smoking weed. Blah, blah. I said, yeah, I don't know. Like everyone's journey is different, you know, and who knows what their relationships with drugs and alcohol look like before, and you know, where they're at now. And, but I would say, yeah, like I think if you're saying you're Christian, like, but you're actively wanting to and doing it all the time, like, you know, something's not right. Yeah. And then, you know, it was, oh yeah, well, you know, and he kind of led to his testimony. And he goes, well, you know, when I was young, you know, I got into a car accident. It was a DUI, you know, so, you know, he was driving drunk, car accident. I don't know if the person died, but he hurt the other person. And
he was the one that was under the influence.
Yes.
Okay.
And his brother had just died too, or like died shortly after that. And he goes, you know, and I met this guy who kind of had his life together. And, you know, he brought me to the Mormon church. And, you know, he had a great wife and his life was put together. And that's kind of what led to me, you know, exploring and, you know, I haven't had a touch of alcohol since. And, you know, here I am. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, like that's such a, you know, powerful story. You know, congratulations. But
yeah,
like, you know, what that's not rooted in like what if he had found a nice Muslim guy?
Yeah.
What if he had found a nice Jehovah's Witness guy?
Right. Yeah.
What if he had found a nice Christian guy?
Yeah.
You know, what if he had found a nice Buddhist monk?
Yeah.
And dude, this Buddhist monk he had such a zen about him.
Yeah.
He just had such a peace, and you know, I really respected his life. Would he have become Buddhist?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, and so it just made me realize, I think a lot of people, we choose our different faith paths based on other people.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
Like that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't go deep, and maybe that's just me. Like, you know, my brain, I think I lean skeptical of a lot of things in life, and I like to question, and so yeah, we didn't get into the weeds of like, well, dude, hey, did you know Joseph Smith did this? Like, I didn't. Yeah. It didn't seem appropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people, once they find something that they like and they're at peace with, it's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And no one really cares to ask why.
Yeah. Which is important. Like, asking. Because, I mean, like, even thinking about that, right? Like, that's kind of my testimony, right? Like, the things I was saying, like, I met some guy, my life went like this, you know, it went well and stuff. But I think, like, the difference kind of is, like, you know, like, I mean, and I can't speak for that guy, but, like, you know, I mean, I've seen a lot of things with, like, the Mormon church, like, pressing against these things that, you know, like, what things that they used to believe that are changed now.
Yeah,
you know,
dude, they didn't let black people.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know. I think like that's just like, I mean, what do you feel about like, grew up in Orange County, right? Like you grew up in Orange County.
Yeah.
Probably high likelihood that we would become Christians,
1000%, dude.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
Like putting yourself in his perspective,
in that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm obviously like aware of that.
Yeah.
But I think what sells me the most on Christianity is the death of the like apostles, the deaths of the apostles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you look at the deaths of the apostles, the Quran writes Jesus didn't die. It was just a vision, like presented to the people.
Yeah.
And supposedly, I got to find the verses. This is where I wish I was like super knowledgeable in the Quran, like, Surah 5, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But Jesus supposedly came back and told the disciples this too. Like, and the disciples were supposedly aware Jesus didn't die.
Yeah.
So when you look at the early martyrs of the church, like especially like right after after Jesus leaves, I don't think those disciples would have sacrificed their lives for a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what sells me the most on like Christianity.
Yeah.
And also super quick of the atheist worldview of, Big Bang, dude, just look at nature, look at,
right. Yeah.
Do you really believe all of this came from nothing? Like that to me requires more faith than a guy came to heaven or came down from heaven, lived on earth, lived a perfect life, died on the cross and resurrected.
Right.
That versus the universe came from nothing.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like the universe came from nothing requires a little more faith.
Right. Yeah.
So I think when you combine that with the deaths of the early apostles and stuff, I'm pretty like at peace with Christianity.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't really wrestle with that anymore.
So I want to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, let's do it.
So like, what about like with like Muslims, like that literally die, for like their faith and stuff, they're like, oh, I believe this. Like, I want to die because this is what my religion is telling me to do.
Are you talking like radical Muslims?
I guess. Yeah. Right. Like, where does that, I guess, place you in regards to like just trusting Christianity, right? Because like, I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but you're saying like the 12, apostles died because they believed in this, right?
Yeah.
And then we see like, not even just Muslims, but like terrorist attacks, like people willing to die, even like cults, like people like sacrificing themselves,
For sure.
Yeah. Like, where does that place you, or what do you think? I also have an answer to this, but I just want to know like what your thought is.
Yeah, I think you can believe something that's wrong. Like, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at the early apostles, and then it said that Christ also appeared to 500 other people.
Yeah.
And other people were willing to die too. It wasn't just like the 12 disciples who were willing to die. Like there was a lot of martyrs, and I think a lot of people forget that like for the first 200 or 300 years of being a Christian, like it wasn't beneficial to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Like and a lot of people are like, oh, Constantine just made it easy. Like people were only Christian because Constantine allowed it. No, dude, for the first like 200, 300 years of being Christian, like they were killed all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was not beneficial.
Right.
But yeah, I think like with radical Muslim groups or whatever, you can believe something that's wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of my answer too. Like to answer that question, like, I truly believe like, like the Bible says, that the devil is a liar. He's a deceiver, so he perverts good things, like, and if there is one, I believe like there's like one source of truth, right? Like becoming like growing in my faith and stuff. It's like how I said before, like, oh, like Christianity, all these other thought processes are basically just different variations. And it's like, oh, like that works for you, so that's good for you. Like your faith is exclusive, right? Like
every religion,
faith,
and I think
right.
that's the tough thing that a lot of atheists like to bring up, or even other religions. Every worldview is exclusive of the other. You cannot have Islam being true at the same time as Christianity.
Right.
You cannot have Christianity be true at the same time as Mormonism or whatever.
Right.
Like every worldview is exclusive of the other.
I mean, because even like Buddhists, like they believe in like everything, but it's like, Buddhists can't be Christians because Christians believe in one God, you know? So, I asked that question, but like, I think that's exactly what I would say too. Like, before I struggled with the idea of like Paul, because I was like, okay, like what's the difference between Paul and Joseph Smith? Like Paul wasn't there when Jesus was, doing ministry. Like Paul saw him in like a vision, and I was like, he could have made that up just like, Joseph Smith.
1000%, but I think, dude, like the guy got shipwrecked like multiple times. He's like basically low-key homeless. Like I think
went to prison,
after the second shipwreck, I probably would have been like, all right, dude, I'm over it.
No, dude, and that's what I'm saying. Like I mean, I could be wrong, but like that idea, that concept, that story was like there was no other version of that. And then after that, there's like perversions of like, different false prophets, different things that kind of stemming from this idea, you know?
No, and so, I think, the verse that always pops up to me about, other worldviews and stuff is Satan masquerades himself as an angel of light. And so, people do, oh no, Joseph Smith saw angels.
Yeah.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
Maybe he was 100% sober.
Yeah.
And he did see angels.
Yeah.
That does not mean they were from God.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, like, because of the movies we watch and stuff, like, people think Satan is always going to be this like crazy red and black demon thing. I think if he presented himself that way, always, like, you would instantly know.
Yeah.
Like even a non-believer, if they're having like a crazy, oh my God, I saw this evil figure. And it told me to do something, but it looks so evil that I'm not going to do it.
Right.
If he masquerades himself as an angel of light, oh, I saw this angelic being and there was such a peace about it. And, now the person is open to it. Oh, okay, I'm going to do what he told me to.
Yeah.
So
I mean, dude, I mean, like everything, like going back to that, everything comes down to faith. Like you said, Big Bang, like faith. Believing the things that we're taught in school, maybe like being indoctrinated, but like still faith,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like I'm just going to accept the things that this person is telling me because I'm here, So I think like that kind of deconstructed my, I guess, like scientific mindset of like, oh, science is right, Big Bang, evolution, all these different things. When I realized like everything.
And also, dude, like the Big Bang, and like, oh, what about carbon dating? And we have bones that are, 50,000 years old, blah, blah, blah. Dude, in my mind, if God can come here, live a perfect life, die, resurrect from the dead, it's not far-fetched that he can create a world where certain parts look older than others.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really think those are just a distraction from the cross.
Yeah.
From Jesus. Like, you need to put those to the side for one hot second and go to the cross. Why did Jesus come here?
Yeah.
Why did he have to die? Ask those questions. All those other things are trying to distract us from the cross, in my opinion.
And I think too, like, it's like, what is the point of what you're doing, right? And as a Christian, like looking back, like that thought process of like, oh, we're just here by accident. We're here. I don't matter. I'm insignificant. That sounds like something Satan would be saying to me.
1000%. Dude.
Like, I'm like, like one of the greatest like feats like that the enemy can do is make himself not seem like an enemy,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Bible literally says that we're in the midst of spiritual war, so it's like, now that I'm on this side, everything is like an attack on me and my family, and I think like I stand basically at the foot of my door protecting what's in my house, and so like now I'm like, everything is trying to destroy that, and so I'm very conscious about that now, so even like when it comes down to like, like homeschooling, all those different things, just politics and all these things, like I look at everything in a spiritual lens now, because I'm like, the enemy is here to kill, like steal and destroy. you know? So it's like, we're here as meant to be protectors, and, you know, the best way to do that is to get on your knees and pray, you know? So, I think, yeah, it's just been interesting, you know, like, you know, if we all really are, you know, on a battlefield, then, you know, like Satan's not going to waste bullets on dead bodies, right? So it's like, if there are people that are believing they're insignificant, they're, you know, believing in evolution and these things,
he doesn't have to spend more time on
he
them.
doesn't have to waste. Yeah. Like, they're fighting, you know, they're fighting for that now, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I also just think like the majority of people don't want to do anything with God or Jesus because it's not even rooted in you know, the Big Bang, the evidence, but
yeah.
there's certain elements of our lives that we don't want to give up.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say that's 90% of agnostics or atheists.
Yeah.
You know, I think even if you asked someone like, hey, let's say it comes out tomorrow, Alex O'Connor, Richard Dawkins, all these very famous atheists, they've all announced on Twitter today, dude, they're Christian. Like they're collaborating on this new book. Like the evidence is so obvious. They're all Christian now. Are you going to become Christian? Because I know you respected their work and they were a big driving force of why you became an agnostic or atheist.
Yeah.
Are you going to become Christian now?
Nah.
Dude, 90% of people, no.
They wouldn't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And so it's not, I think most people, we just have certain areas of our life that we know if I go to church, I'm not supposed to do this.
Yeah.
And I like doing this.
Yeah.
So, you know,
yeah.
Jesus is for later in life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus is for, you know, when you're 65.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
When you want to Jesus.
Yeah. When you want to have a family, raise them right and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Because no one's really against the moral teachings of the Bible, I would say. Like, in regards to like the at least the outcomes of it, right? It's like, you know, love your neighbor, you know, like treat people well, treat people the way you want to be treated, right?
Yeah.
But everybody wants their cake and eat it too, right? Like everybody wants not just the end result, but the process to be favorable, right? But I think as Christians, we have to be like, dude, the process, you know, like isn't as important as a result, you know? Like, I mean, the cross, right? Look at what that did. Look at what Jesus did, you know? Job, right? Like he went through so many different things, but he was faithful and he didn't do it for the result, but he did it because despite, you know, the process. And I think that's like one of the main things for Christians to be doing. Like, dude, like despite the process, despite my feelings in this process, like I'm going to walk in this direction just because I know that this is how I ought to be, you know? And then when your mind and your heart actually are in line with that, then that's when the fruit comes. You can't have one, even just being a Christian, you can't have just your mind on that and then see the fruit. Like you talked about the guy that's tithing 100% or whatever, his mind's in it, his heart's not in it because he's wanting the fruit. Yeah. And then you have the person that's just all heart, like, oh, I feel God, I feel this, I feel that, you know, and then they're susceptible to spiritual highs and lows. Yeah. You know, and then they're just riding those feelings of God, you know, but it's like when your heart and your mind are aligned on this path, you don't care about that, like getting the result. Yeah. But then that's when you get it, you know, 100%. Which is so weird, you know, and that's what I've seen as like a Christian. It's like, you know, like if you really want that, then let it go and do the things in front of you. And then it will come, and like it will come if God wants it to at the end of the day. Right. Because you can still be doing all those things and still suffer and not get the wife, not get the child, you know. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's no walk in the park, but that's why it's like Matthew 6:33, seek first his kingdom and live righteously and you'll get everything that you need. It's not everything you want, you know. Yeah. So like that's been something that's been sustaining me, like, because then I look back and I'm like, you know, we talked about at the beginning, like my main prayers are like, I want to provide, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Throughout my life, I've had everything that I've needed, you know? Yeah. Not everything that I've wanted, you know? And obviously there's those like arguments of like, you know, well, what about the homeless people? What about the kids in Africa? Do they have everything they needed? You know? But I would even push that to like, what about like babies that were unborn, you know? Like, you know, and it's not up to us to decide what we needed. That's the thing. Yeah. You know, like I didn't ask to be born, you know, but then God is like, you know, he works things in ways we don't understand. And that's where people try to be their own God and they try to understand the things. But it's like, as a Christian, you're just giving up the reins.
Yeah, you're surrendering control.
Yeah.
And, people don't like to surrender control.
Yeah. We don't. And we're Christians,
Yeah.
Like, I don't like surrendering control.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's more so like what we ought to be, what we ought to do, what we should be doing rather than what we want to be doing,
Amen, dude.
But yeah. Last question. I did have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Outside of like Christian stuff, ministry stuff, like, success or whatever, like what has just been like fun for you? Like what has just been like any new, like, what is it, like life hacks or like anything that's just been like bringing you joy?
Pure fun.
I mean, like not even just fun, but just like for me, like Legos, that's just been something random that, I've always been on, but like even just like, any new like influencers or, social media stuff or.
I mean, you can see the shirts that I've designed there.
Oh yeah.
I think that's fun. And I have literally like 100 shirt ideas as I've been like working through the Bible.
Yeah.
So I think that's been fun. And as I mess around with like the AI image generation stuff, like when you see something in your brain and you see it come to life, like that is fun.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But I am putting that on pause just to kind of focus on this right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I'll be honest. Like, my brain is very all or nothing.
Yeah,
and
I feel that.
And I know I get guilty of like committing too much to work at times and not having fun. I have 2 guitars there that have been sitting there like untouched for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I need to step up my fun game to keep it short and sweet.
Whatever God has put on your heart.
Well, yeah, dude, we'll have some fun together soon. And
yeah, dude.
I think this is a good note to end on. And
yeah, I mean the light died. So.
Yeah, that too. So I gotta figure out what that was. And but I think we'll have to do like another one when you're a dad and the spiritual wisdom of you being a dad.
Yeah, dude.
And all that. And because I know there's gonna be some crazy insights that come out of that, and I definitely want to hear them.
Yeah, dude. For sure. So, yeah. Part 2.
Part 2. Guys, give Michael a like and tell him you want him to come back for part 2.
Yes.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Love you, bro.
Love you. If you made it this far, I think you liked the video. Why not let us know by clicking the like button, hit the subscribe. Were there any spiritual bangers that Mike dropped that you liked? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.